This is the Qtv Nightly News and I am Jul Denjai. Here are the main news headlines. Now, in a move to protect the public health and the environment, the National Environment Agency has confiscated a significant quantity of unauthorized imported chemicals and pesticides which were brought into the country. Under the theme Diaspora Jobs and Financing for Development, GK Partners, in collaboration with the government of the Gambia, hosted the 8th Stake in Nation Forum on Saturday. The Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union on Monday presented a check worth $1 million to the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to support the development of grassroots sports programs in the country. And in international news, at least 16 civilians in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state have been killed in a military airstrike, reportedly after being mistaken for criminal gangs. Also in international news, on this day, 13th January, 82 years ago, U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt, on his way to meet his Second World War ally, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, in Casablanca, made an overnight stopover in Batos, now Banjul, marking the first visit to the African continent by a sitting U.S. president. These and other stories coming ahead. Do stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. If you're just tuning in, this is the Qtv Nightly News, and now to the rest of our stories. Now, in a move to protect public health and the environment, the National Environment Agency, NEA, has confiscated a significant quantity of unauthorized imported chemicals and pesticides which were brought into the country, posing potential risks to public safety. QTV's Usman Jata tells us more.
According to the agency's officials, the NEA has recently reported a rise in the unauthorized importation of hazardous chemicals and pesticides across the country's land and sea borders in violation of the country's laws. Here is Lamin Jaite, the NEA's Registrar of Pesticides and Hazardous Chemicals.
We have confiscated, with the help of Customs and Police, about 1,222 cartons of aerosol mosquito sprays into the country. They are imported without the necessary documentation. We are signatory to so many international conventions, and also we are signatory to regional accords. For example, the SEALS, Sahelian Pesticide Committee, that has a list of chemicals that are allowed into the country and that are not also allowed in the sub-region. So when you apply for import permit at any given time that you're doing importation, the import permit, you as the importer declares to the agency, I want to import chemical A, chemical B, and chemical C. So once you do this thing, you provide us certain information, for example, the material safety data sheet of the product, and also some of the technical documents, dossiers to the product, and as well as certificate of analysis. So when the chemical is in country, or you are expecting the chemical to arrive at a given time, you're required to come back and notify the agency after you have completed this import permit form. The agency then will dispatch inspectors to go at the point of entry, or designated inspectors, to verify the product that you declared in the import permit form.
Omar C., the director of the Technical Services Network at the National Environment Agency, stressed the importance of importers adhering to the proper procedures when bringing in chemical products.
It's also important that they follow due process in ensuring that the right procedures is followed to the letter. That's why, as a regulatory body, we have a mandate, and by that, I will work together with the stakeholders in ensuring that the law is implemented accordingly. Enforcement of laws requires a lot of effort and commitment from staff and also from the general public. That's why we are calling all of you to put together all your effort in ensuring that chemical issues are addressed accordingly.
Dauda Bachi is the Executive Director of the National Environment Agency.
Buy things, we don't even read those writings on this product, whether it's body cream or sprays or whatever. We don't even read it. The writings are very, very small, but try and create time to look at those things. It will give you the information of that product. What are some of the issues related to that product? It is our duty as an institution, as a public servant, to ensure that we work together to address this problem.
The agency continues to work closely with local authorities to enhance inspection and enforce chemical safety regulations at borders and within industries. Director Baji further emphasized the importance of collective efforts to combat the unauthorized importation of chemical products. Officials of the NEA said the agency's action highlights its commitment to safeguarding the community from hazardous materials while ensuring that all chemicals and pesticides meet stringent safety standards. Osman Shatta reporting for QTV News.
For Jobs and Financing for Development, GK Partners, in collaboration with the government of the Gambia, hosted the 8th Stake in Nation Forum SNF8 at the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center in Bijilo. Demba Waiba reports on the event.
This unique event brought together a blend of diaspora homecoming, policy discussions, technical workshops, and professional networking, creating an engaging one-day dialogue between diaspora members, development practitioners, government representatives, and non-state actors. Professor Jibril Fall, Director of GK Partners and Migration and Sustainable Development in the Gambia, is the organizer of this annual forum.
Because when they saw somebody who's an African or who they suspect is from the region, they didn't apparently need to know your name. They would say, Mboka. And if they suspected from your Gambian, they would notice it for the silver bangle that Gambians like to wear.
Approximately 10% of Gambians live in the diaspora, making the Gambia one of the countries with the highest reliance on remittances in Africa. The forum highlighted the current state of remittances, their impact on the economy, and the measures taken by the Central Bank of the Gambia to maximize their benefits. A senior advisor to the Central Bank Governor, Mamadou Njai, representing the Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, addressed these key issues during the discussion.
According to the latest data we have, remittance inflows contribute approximately 31.5% of gross domestic product, GDP, underscoring its critical importance to the economy of the Gambia. In 2024 alone, and I underline, which is the main theme of this topic, the Gambia received over $775.6 million in remittances. $775.6 million in remittances, reflecting a significant increase of 28.8 million over the prior year.
Mr. Njai revealed that, according to the Economic Research Department of the Central Bank of the Gambia, the primary sources of remittances come from the United States, Europe, and other African countries where the Gambia's diaspora is well established. He elaborated on the utilization of these funds.
The funds are used predominantly for consumption, education, healthcare, and small-scale investment financing, thereby fostering development of both the household and community levels.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, attended the event.
Today's gathering is particularly significant as it coincides with the celebration of the Gambia Diaspora Month. This initiative symbolizes the enduring bond between our diaspora and homeland. It reaffirms the recognition of our diaspora as the 8th region of the Gambia.
The Vice President, Mohammed B.S. Jallow, represented President Adama Barrow at this important event.
This enabled the Gambia to become one of the champion countries for the UN Global Compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration. Within this GCM framework, MSDC is recognized globally as an innovative and impactful model of good practice. It stands as an example of how countries can move from mainstreaming to institutionalizing diaspora participation in national development.
The Stake in the Nation Forum is mandated as an annual consultative event in the Gambia's Diaspora Strategic Plan and the Gambia National Development Plan. As the event shows, the diaspora remain an important element of the Gambia's present and future. Demba Waiba, Qtv News.
Now, the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union on Monday presented a check worth $1 million to the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, MOPSI, in a significant gesture to support the development of grassroots sports programs in the country. Loliam Kamara witnessed the handing over, and this is her report.
The check was handed over by the leadership of GTU-CCU at the Ministry's office in Banjul, where both parties expressed their appreciation for the collaboration. The donors say it is meant to support the Ministry's grassroots sporting programs. Dauda Kujabi, the Chief Executive Officer of GTU-CCU, says the move is also part of the union's mandate and commitment to enhancing the welfare of students and athletes.
We are trying to complement each other's efforts. MOPSI has complimented GTU for many a time. Coming back to MOPSI, supporting secondary school sport, primary school sport, and upper basic school sport. We should not be thankful for that. If we are doing what we should do, you are fulfilling a responsibility. For me, that is the most important thing. Sport is now a trade. And we must invest in sport.
Ismaila Cisse, the president of the Gambia Teachers Union, underscored the importance of investing in grassroots sports for the nation's future. He drew attention to successful athletes like Yankuba Minte and Gina Mariam Basbite as examples of how early sport can lead to great achievements.
We produce a lot of national athletes, the likes of Yankuba Minte, who played our Principal's Cup here at the Independence Stadium, and then also the likes of Gina Bas, who are national icons today. They all rise to the Gambia Secondary School Sports Association. So GTU-CCU's donation today definitely will go a long way in helping this association to grow from strength to strength, because they have been doing it in the past years. All the prizes that we normally give out to schools, they are the ones that normally that support give us those cash prizes.
Luis Moses Mendy, the permanent secretary at MOPSI, expressed appreciation for the donation and highlighted the unifying power of sports and its ability to bring together people from diverse backgrounds. He gave the assurance that the funds would be used appropriately to benefit students.
And we are also glad to hear that it is not going to be a one-off, it will continue. Who knows? The next time it could be something else. If we do put the money in good use, their hearts could be flattened such that they may even increase it or double it. All is possible. So the custodians of these funds, as we manage them, I encourage all of us to put them in good use. Let us judiciously utilize the funds.
Abdul Karim C., the chairman of the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union's Board of Directors, also reiterated the significance of the donation, noting that supporting school sports is a vital part of the credit union's broader commitment to community welfare and development. The event concluded with a renewed commitment from both the GTU-CCU and the ministry to work together towards the growth of school sports in the Gambia. Both parties also pledged to continue supporting youth development through sports, aiming to build stronger foundations for future athletes. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
Great initiative there. Now the report by Loli M. Kamara will take us to a commercial break. When we return, we have more local, international, as well as sports news stories for you. Do stay with us.
Browse with us. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25. Yes! Recharge $25 and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is the Qtv Nightly News, and now to the rest of our stories. The Director General of the Gambia Standards Bureau, Papa Seka, has shared insights into the Bureau's achievements and challenges in 2024, as well as its plans for 2025. He made these remarks during an exclusive interview with QTV. Here is Pa Daniel Gomez with the report.
The Gambia Standards Bureau is the government agency responsible for developing, promoting and implementing standards for products, systems and services. It also conducts conformity assessment through testing, inspections and certification to ensure compliance with applicable standards. Papa Seka, Director General of the Gambia Standards Bureau, says that despite facing challenges last year, they introduced initiatives to address and overcome them.
And these are mainly how do we ensure that the standards that have been developed are implemented by those who need it most or those who require them, okay, either by way of meeting the requirements of regulations or by way of meeting the requirements of client markets, whatever it is.
DG Seka also highlighted that they have focused on organizing capacity building training for SMEs, main processors and other stakeholders.
SDG 7, for example, where we are working very closely with the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy. We've developed the minimum energy performance standards, which we are working with them to turn them into regulations, for example, so that they are enforced. We've also established to address the issue of very low quality and bad quality lighting systems, which has a huge impact on the health of the people, also related to SDG 6.
The Gambia Standards Bureau has been proactive in working closely with regulatory bodies and government intervention programs to ensure the implementation of essential regulations and measures for quality production and delivery. DG Seka mentioned some of these collaborations.
West Africa Competitiveness Project, funded by the EU and implemented by UNIDO on the onion value chain, where we develop software, and we've done a lot of capacity building and sensitization. We've also collaborated with the EBA project, is where we developed, I would say, my key highlights, which are the standards related to our local herbal teas. It was with the EBA project, where we developed the standards on Kenkeliba, Mborombor, Jambakatang, or Rat.
According to the DG, in addition to plans to establish national reference testing laboratories, which will be accessible to the public for affordable product testing, there are other initiatives, some of which have already begun.
We are very much ready for 2025. We are excited about it simply because we are expecting to operationalize the amalgamation of the weights and measures into the Gambia Standards Bureau as a department. We also are very hopeful to inaugurate the first certification body in the Gambia accredited to international level.
International accreditation is crucial to the Gambia Standards Bureau for national development, as highlighted and elaborated on by DG Seka.
What it will mean for the country is to really boost our export potential. But there is a fundamental requirement to ensure that you have certification with respect to the product you use to export. Let's say it's food. You must have HACCP. No way around it. China market has opened to us, also duty-free, quota-free.
Papa Seka urged consumers to demand quality products and services, as this would encourage business owners to improve their offerings and perform better. For QTV News, I am Pa Daniel Gomez.
The report there will take us to international news in a moment. At least 16 civilians in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara state have been killed in a military airstrike, reportedly after being mistaken for criminal gangs. QTV's Aliu Sise tells us more.
According to local residents, the victims were civilians and members of local vigilante groups defending their communities from armed gangs notorious for kidnapping and ransom demands. The airstrikes targeted militant gangs in Zurmi and Maradun areas. State Governor Daudu Lawal extended his condolences to the affected community. The military confirmed conducting airstrikes, which it said had dealt a decisive blow to bandits terrorizing villages in the area. However, the Nigerian Air Force said it was investigating the incident to ascertain the truth of the matter, which will be communicated to the public. A local source cited by AFP News Agency reported that the civilians were returning to their villages after chasing away bandits when they were bombed. Rights group Amnesty International Nigeria has put the death toll at 20 and said dozens of others were injured in the attack on Tungakara village. It called on the authorities to immediately and impartially investigate the incident. Nigeria's security forces have been fighting powerful criminal gangs who have been terrorizing northwest and central states. They have also been fighting Islamic jihadists on various fronts. In 2023, at least 85 civilians, mostly women and children attending a Muslim religious gathering at a village in Kaduna State, were killed after they were mistaken for bandits. In January 2017, at least 112 people were killed when a jet struck a camp housing 40,000 people who had been displaced by jihadist violence in a town near the Cameroonian border. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Also in international news, on this day, 13th January, 82 years ago, U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt, on his way to meet his Second World War ally, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill in Casablanca, made an overnight stopover in Bathurst, now Banjul, making the first visit to the African continent by a sitting U.S. president. Here is the report.
He arrived at 4:30 p.m. and set up residence in a U.S. Navy ship, Memphis, because the presidential delegation's advance man had judged the Gambia's capital a disease-infected post with no suitable living accommodations. On his way to Yundum Airfield the following day, with a scheduled 9 a.m. departure for Casablanca, he and his party drove through Bathurst in what he would later describe to his son as an eye-opening ride. His son, Elliot, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Air Corps at the time, and who incidentally had been to the Gambia a year earlier on an army mapping project, was in Casablanca when his father arrived. He said his father kept him up until after midnight talking about what he saw in Bathurst. "I'll bet I found out more in one afternoon in Bathurst than you were able to find out in 2 months," Roosevelt said to his son, and added, "I must tell Churchill what I found out about his British Gambia today." President Roosevelt said everywhere he passed in Bathurst, he saw malnourished, sick people. The natives, he said, were just getting to work in rags and glum-looking. The prevailing wage was 1 shilling 9 pence, less than 50 cents. Negro women in an odd assortment of clothing filed past, balancing 5-gallon jugs on their heads. Huts and hovels of thatch, matted adobe, bulged with gangly, undernourished children. Dirt, disease, very high mortality rate. Life expectancy was 26 years. These people are treated worse than livestock. Their cattle live longer, President Roosevelt concluded. According to one analyst, this brief visit put a human face on colonial misery for the president. He badgered Churchill about Bathurst, calling it a hellhole, and pushed hard for the establishment of a UN to supersede the League of Nations to oversee decolonization. According to one historian, Roosevelt should be regarded as one of the fathers of the post-war world of politically independent nations, and it was his Bathurst experience which helped him crystallize his thinking about the role of the organization he had envisioned to help guide the post-empire world, the United Nations. Unfortunately, he died on 12 April 1945, less than a month to the end of World War II. For QTV News, I'm Mahmoud Mboud.
The report there takes us to sports news. Now, the QCell-sponsored Sukuta Nawetan League final between Arabic School and Team Huntdown ended in draw at the Dembadu football ground on Saturday. The two teams will face each other again in replay on 25th of January. Our sports reporter Momodo Gajaga was there, and this is his report.
In an electric atmosphere at the Sukuta Dembadu football ground, Team Huntdown and Arabic School FC got off to a flying start in the QCell-sponsored Sukuta Nawetan League final. The venue saw colorfully dressed fans of both clubs drumming and dancing to cheer on their teams.
Both teams played with attacking intensity, with some occasional good passing football. Team Huntdown had the majority of the goal-scoring chances, but poor finishing meant they failed to capitalize. Huntdown's Lamin Toure, known by his nickname Zola, was mesmerizing with his dribbling skills. He came close to scoring in the 25th minute, but his low shot was saved by goalkeeper Ibrahim Acham. Arabic School FC came close with a free kick after their star player Amadou Soli was brought down on the edge of the box. Sadio Toure saved spectacularly by parrying the ball away for a corner kick. Nothing could separate the two teams going into the break, and after the break, the same trend continued, with a mix of occasional beautiful passes and long passes without accuracy. The final whistle blew, with neither side able to find the net. The final will be replayed on the 25th of January 2025. However, Team Huntdown players and officials could be seen protesting the decision to replay instead of going straight to penalty shootouts. Football lovers in Sukuta will be anticipating another exciting match between Arabic School FC and Team Huntdown, and they will also be hoping for goals to settle the matter. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
That report there by Momodu Gajaga brings us to the end of this news bulletin, but before we go, here is a recap of the headlines. In a move to protect public health and the environment, the National Environment Agency has confiscated a significant quantity of unauthorized imported chemicals and pesticides which were brought into the country. Now, under the theme Diaspora Jobs and Financing for Development, GK Partners, in collaboration with the Government of the Gambia, hosted the 8th Stake in Nation Forum SNF8 on Saturday. Now, the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative Credit Union on Monday presented a check worth $1 million to the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to support the development of grassroots sports programs in the country. In international news, at least 16 civilians in northern western Zamfara state have been killed in a military airstrike, reportedly after being mistaken for criminal gangs. Also in international news, on this day, 13th January, 82 years ago, U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt, on his way to meet his Second World War ally, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, in Casablanca, made an overnight stopover in Batos, now Banjul, marking the first visit to the African continent by a sitting U.S. president. In sports news, the QCell-sponsored Sukuta Nawetan League final between Arabic School and Team Huntdown ended in draw at the Dembadu football ground on Saturday. Well, I am afraid this is all we have time for, but do join us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another news bulletin. Many thanks indeed for the pleasure of your company. Do have a splendid evening. Bye-bye.